Oh yeah, this essay is taken quite a while to finish. Let's keep on going. Right, if our young men miscarry in their first enterprise, they lose all heart. Oops.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Deep breaths. Yeah, that's... Part of me thinks that... I mean, you lose heart, right? When stuff doesn't go your way. But part of me thinks that that's not only what it means to be human, right? It feels like a little bit that is something that is put on us as people as well. That result focus. Yeah, okay, come. That result orientation, right? Which is... It is easy to end up in it yourself. What are you doing? Come over here. There we go. Definitely easy to end up in that. Oh, can do like this. Hello, says the cat. Yeah, and lose heart, but that is something that I would say that I would want to see, like a change in society, a more okayness and encouragement to fail. Yeah, because that is the route to learning, right? Men say he is ruined if the young merchant fails. If the finest genius studies at one of our colleges and is not installed in office within 1 year afterwards in the cities or suburbs of Boston or New York, it seems to his friends and to himself that he is right in being disheartened. I would say it is okay to be disheartened. Just don't let the overwhelmingness of the thing, right? You will get disheartened from life, right? I would assume that is what happens. People get disheartened for whatever reason, and that's okay. Let's try not to wallow in it, and because it's the good and the bad. Embrace it. And in complaining to the rest of his life, a sturdy lad from New Hampshire or Vermont, who in turn tries all the professions, who teams it, farms it, peddles, keeps a school, preaches, edits a newspaper, goes to Congress, buys township and so forth in successive years, and always like a cat. Oh, look at that. Always like a cat falls on his feet is worth 100 of these city dolls. I think it's a mistake comparing people, and I think that is actually, I think this is actually one of the things that leads to this mistake, right? That the comparison that, oh, you have to be the best there is. Oh, left. This time, let's not keep the crotch cam running, eh? Yeah. That comparison that is done here, that is the mistake that leads to this like one of the benefiting causes, right? It's not the only one, but one reason why this disheartened feeling and whatever is because you do comparisons like this. Right? I could see someone who does all these things and fails and lose more heart with every failure, right? If you succeed in getting into office within 1 year, then you don't feel disheartened. I think that, yeah, this is not a fair comparison. And even the actual comparison, if I would want to make that, I would say it's still a problem. He walks abreast with his days and feels no shame in not studying a profession. For he does not postpone his life, but lives already. He has not 1 chance, but 100 chances. Let a stoic open the resources of man and tell men that they are not leaning willows, but can and must detach themselves. That with the exercise of self-trust, new powers shall appear, that a man is the Word made flesh, born to shed healing to the nations, that he should be ashamed of our compassion, and that the moment he acts from himself, tossing the laws, the books, idolatries, and customs out the window, we pity him no more, but thank him and revere him. That is not what happens, right? And that teacher shall restore the life of man to splendor and make his name dear to all history. Yeah, that is not what happens, right? This is not the consequence. I would still go, right, partly the stoic route, right? Like, try and just toss these out. Like, make a reset. Try something else. I'm all for that. But these things are not a necessary consequence. Right? You can get a shitty consequence where everything sucks and you get even more disheartened for doing these things. Or you might not, right? That it's not only, right? It takes a lot of things to succeed. One of them being failing over and over again, right? And failing over and over again, that's disheartening. And as it stands now, people will look down at you for failing over and over again. And something that does happen, right? If people, like, if you get isolated and pushed out from society, right? One reaction to that is to tossing the law, the books, the idolatries, right? That's if society treats it like, if you're in a group and that group treats you like shit over and over and over again, of course you toss the laws, the books, the idolatries, and customs. That is definitely a consequence. If society treats you like shit, then fuck society, right? That makes a lot of sense. But this is, does not happen. Rasmus is that a bad thing? Wait, this? Doing this? No. Not at all. I mean, it's new perspectives, right? From what I think, right? From my perspective, my opinion is that doing these things, just tossing them out and trying thinking new ways, doing new things. I think in general that's probably a good idea for a lot of people. In general. But I would also say that this is bad advice. Because, right, if you do it because of this, then you haven't really thrown out the laws, the books, the idolatries, right? So do it because it's worthwhile doing it, right? It's worthwhile doing it just for the sake of it. Not because people will start revering you. Because they won't. And even if they do, it feels like idolatry, right? If that is the focus. If that is what you meant by your question, I think that's... Right? I think that's what I like about science, right? It's... If it doesn't work, then we toss all the things, right? We toss all the other stuff. Well, what was that again? Right? It is the beliefs change based on observation, right? We try and toss the laws. It might not be easy, right? Well, more like faith, right? Observation doesn't matter. You just try and keep the books and the idolatries. Like, it kind of feels like that methodology. Blasphemous, do we? Wait. Oh. Did I say we? That's a good point. That's my understanding of how to do science. And of course, it's not black and white, right? It doesn't happen. Like, these things are not easy, right? It's not... Right? It kind of seems from the text, right? It's that it would be easy tossing the laws, the books, and the idolatries and customs. But those are internalized, and you might not be aware of them, right? If it was easy, right, in the comparison to science, right? If it was easy, then all the knowledge would have been found, right? If it was easy, tossing out laws and old ideas. But I've heard that before, right? A paradigm shift does not happen because you convince the opponents of your ideas. It is because they eventually die out. Because it's difficult. Blasphemous, trust the science. Isn't that kind of an oxymoron? Isn't the whole point of science not to trust? Isn't... Well, right, that's... Actually, it's such a vague concept, right? Science. Right? A lot of people, and me included, talk a lot about the scientific method. And I have an idea in my head that is definitely not about trust. It is a structure that is... it is an attempt to build a structure that is not based on trust. A little bit like crypto coins, right? Trustless. You try to build a system where it is assumed that you cannot trust. You cannot even trust your own eyes. You cannot trust the laws. You cannot trust the books, the idolatries, or the customs. Because these things, just because they are, just from their nature of it, like from the nature of the fact of their existence, does not justify them, right? Because that would be a circular justification, right? Oh, why should that be a law? Because it's the law, and that does not convince me. It was written in a book. That does not convince me. Well, everybody thinks so. Does not convince me. It's the norm. Does not convince me, right? None of these things are convincing in approaching life. If that makes sense. Blasphemous. What about when we start doing science in a different way than we've done it in the past? Doesn't that happen all the time? Isn't that the whole point of science, that we have to start doing it different ways and see what happens, right? We try different things and then we make observations. That was a little bit frustrating. Welcome back, Nodrunner. I thought you would have gone to sleep by now. Maybe not. I think it might have been a good idea to skip that game for you, because it is kinda rough in its places. Still, the beginning was one of the worst spots, but it keeps going, and It is kind of rough. Blasphemous says, would you all for continuing to trust the science? But again, in my mind, science should be a trustless, right? It should not be about trusting. I mean, I would still go there is a what's that called again? Like being critical of your sources, right? So in some senses, I do trust the science, right? Because it's out of my league, right? I have never done the what's it called? The split, the double split experiment, for example. I've never done that, but I've seen enough people that have claimed to have done it and gotten the same results that I trust them. So it's not trusting the science or anything like that. It's just, it is enough people claiming it. Just like in crypto coins, right? That there is enough people to convince me. It's not even about trust. It's about convincing, right? They've convinced me that this, the double split experiment, that it's actually what happens. Like, quantum mechanics is a thing. And that is something I have built into I've internalized it in my worldview, my limited understanding of the thing. But, I don't know, trust? That's interesting. It's the justification, right? Now Donner says, nah, my sleep schedule is fucked up again. It doesn't take long. Right, I would say since... Right, how long did it last by being not fucked up? I would say if it just lasted like a week, then it's never gone it never did get unfucked, right? If you have an unfucked sleep schedule, in my mind, anyway, that's an unfucked sleep schedule is when it's consistent. Right? If it's consistent, it is not unfucked. It is when it's not consistent, it is fucked, right? Blasphemous says, my sleep schedule will forever be fucked. Maybe I should get drunk and fall asleep early one day. Maybe. I've never done that. Getting drunk and to fall asleep. Actually, now I'm trying to think. Have I ever gotten drunk alone? I must have sometime. Like one time or other. I don't remember though. But on the other hand, alcohol, there is a correlation between not remembering and drinking a lot of alcohol or being drunk, right? I don't know. No Donner says, the whispers are like nails on a chalkboard mixed up with cringe. Oof. I don't understand why I had that reaction, because I've listened to ASMR before and it's fine. Well, this was different. This wasn't ASMR. This was designed to be the exact opposite, right? It was designed to be invasive and frustrating and oppressive. It was designed to be uncomfortable, and it was uncomfortable. Blasphemous says, Cider, you fall for peer pressure easily. Yeah. I probably shouldn't have asked you that. Ask me... Trust the sciences? No, you can ask me anything. I kind of fall for peer pressure very easily, I think, right? I'm reactive like that. For some things, for others not. I try not to be married to ideas. No Donner says probably less than a week. Yeah, then it never got unfucked from my point of view. So it was designed like the government? Oh man, did you see the news of... Well, I guess not, because it's not even in the Swedish news yet. But we had a vote of no confidence, so... In a week from now, we don't have any government. Again. In Sweden. They suck. And I suppose, yeah, that is kind of the point of the government, right? To be all up in your business. Isn't that kind of the point of the government? Blasphemous says, Cider, when you had your headphones on, your hair to your right was sticking out funny. On your right. This side? This is my left. Was it sticking out funny? It's always sticking out funny. My hair is like a constant mess. It looks kind of funny. Oh, it was sticking out here. Funny, right? Like something like this. Oh, maybe it was from the glasses. Something like that. It got jammed in between the thing. Alright. Not Honor eats cheesy broccoli soup. That actually is cheesy soup. Alright, I wondered about that before. What is a cheesy soup like? Is it like all stringy or... Is it just thick? Or are there like strings of molten cheese or... It's creamy. What kind of cheese do you put in a soup to make it creamy? Because in my mind, like something I like to do is like I take a piece of bread, put some, I don't know, some butter, maybe some ham, a lot of cheese on it, and maybe some spice or other. And just put it in a microwave for like a minute and a half, and it all melts, right? Molten cheese. But having that in a soup sounds weird. Blasphemous says, I really need to quit trying to improve my scripts. I'm wasting my nights. I mean, if you're not enjoying yourself, if you're not getting anything out of it, then if you don't get anything that you value out of it, then it would make sense. Yeah. I guess you get improved scripts, which you value. Or you might get improved scripts. Blasphemous says, I'm becoming too obsessive with it, and I have other things that I need to get done. Alright. Maybe not that black and white and just quit altogether. Like, put it on a schedule. I only spend 1 hour trying to improve scripts instead of trying to quit cold turkey. Unless you want to quit cold turkey, I guess that's fine as well. That would probably be my approach to stuff like that. That was frustrating. Cream mixed with cheese. So many different types of cheese. Like feta cheese or Gouda, or I've been eating a lot of Port Salut lately. Yeah, that's a great cheese. Look up images for cheesy soup. That's actually a very good idea. Cheesy soup. That was a very good idea indeed. Like this is a cheesy soup. Oh, right. But there's not chunks of cheese in it. Or maybe this is chunks of cheese? This would be great. Oh, this looks like a nice soup. Especially if this is a chunk of cheese. Is that like prawns or ham? Ham and broccoli and cheese, probably. Vegetable soup? Maybe not ham. Maybe bacon? Bacon is a vegetable, right? That actually looks really fucking tasty. I'm not usually for soup, a lot of soup, but it looked really tasty. Note on this, there's like one picture where you can actually see strings of cheese. That's unusual. I can imagine that being unusual, yeah, because it doesn't sound very nice. Oh, note on says I have the video off on the stream, so I can't see what you're looking at. Ah, that's fine. It was just pictures of cheesy soup. That is what I was looking at. Yeah, one was a broccoli soup. Yeah, there's a lot of cheesy soups that I was just watching. That was a very good idea. What a cheesy soup is. Alright, so we keep going here. It is easy to see that greater self-reliance must work a revolution in all the offices and relations of men, in their religion, education, and in their pursuits of their modest living, their association, their property, and their speculative views. This I'm actually all for, yeah. I would actually say that all the revolutions we've had in Europe, the last, like, if I remember from school, I learned about 3 revolutions. What were they again? We had the French Revolution, the Industrial one, and wasn't it the third one? I don't recall. But weren't they all about kind of self-reliance? Well, they were about empowering the individual, right? Industrial Revolution, where we mass produce things, that is literally producing stuff for the masses. And if the masses have more stuff, they have more power. I kind of make that. And right, the more stuff you have, the more self-reliant you can be, right? The more tools you have, the more stuff you can do. Kinda, right? It's a little bit far-fetched, maybe, but not too far-fetched to just leave it behind, right? And like the French Revolution and the whole democracy thing, right? That was also about putting power into the hands of individuals, right? That's the whole point of democracy, right? More power to the people. And something I'm arguing for, like I'm like a broken record like that more ethics, like teach ethic competency so they can put, like making a code of ethics and decide their own morals. That is putting more power within the individual, right? And the same with the universal basic income, right? It gives more power to the individual to decide what they should do with their day, right? It's all about not necessarily purely self-reliance, but it's more power to the individual to be more self-reliant, to make their own decisions, right? Maybe? Note says the flavor is fantastic. If you don't like soup because you don't like how watery it is, you just make it thicker by keeping on the heat for longer. The longer the water has to evaporate, the thicker it gets. Oh, that's very nice. Maybe I should start making some soup in the future. But I kind of like raw vegetables, so I don't need to cook them. I can just screw the water, just eat the vegetables. Blasphemous says, sounds like some nice propaganda there, Cider. Power to the people? Yeah, right? That is some nice propaganda. Wait. That's very interesting, because when I think about that, the power to the people, and I think of it like a slogan, my mind thinks that I've heard that from the collectivists, right? From the communists and socialists. They say power to the people. But in my mind, isn't individualists, right? Isn't both of them power to the people? Well, oh, but they mean power to the people as the group. I mean power to the individual here, like power to the persons, the individual people, right? All the people, not as a group. Damn it. That is very confusing then, the power to the people slogan. It doesn't really work, right? Because whoever you say it to, they will make their own interpretation of what you mean, and that it's very easy to get, right? It sounds great for whoever you are. So of course it's great propaganda, because it's people hear what they want to hear. Blasphemous says, oh shit, thank you for reminding me I have veggies. I need to eat, like, right now. Yeah, go eat the veggies. Nice. Tasty stuff. Some of it not so much. One? Wait, why is there a number here? In what prayers do men allow themselves? That which they call holy office is not so much as... That which they call a holy office is not so much as brave and manly. Brave and manly? Ooh. That didn't age very well. Prayer looks abroad and asks for some foreign addition to come through, some foreign virtue, and loses itself in endless mazes of natural and supernatural, meditorial and miraculous. It is prayer that craves a particular commodity. Anything less than all good is vicious. Yeah, that black and white view is not very good. But you don't have, like... asking for supernatural stuff, I'm all for that. And miraculous? Miraculous. You can wish for miraculous stuff, right? Being hopeful is not... I mean, I tend not to be, right? I tend to be with the Murphy's crowd, like, expect the worst. But like, people hoping for the best. I don't hoping for miraculous stuff. That's up to them, and I don't see that as a problem. Meditation is not supernatural, right? It's a mental practice. You can do mental practices. Like prayer. Prayer, depending how it's done, is a meditorial practice, right? It doesn't have to be about asking for something supernatural. It could just be about the practice itself. Like for the... I think it's clearest with the Muslims how they do it, right? They're supposed to, like, they have a specific monotonous practice that they do. Fuck, I don't forget. Like, they put on the prayer mat and do that thing, right? They have to face a certain direction towards Mecca, right? And then they have... It's like a routine, a mental practice thing. If you see it as such, it's... I mean, it's good for your health. Expecting supernatural help, though, that is... Right, become a problem. See a problem with it? Alright, Blasphemous says... This book looks like fun. Civilized to Death by Christopher Ryan.
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
Alright. Oh man. How am I doing this? Like that? Like this? And like that. What is this? Simon & Schuster. Well, thank you, cute browser. I can definitely read this, can't I? Oh, now it works. That was interesting. Alright, civilized to death. It's not just a book, it's a revolution. Oh wow, that's high praise. How old is it? The New York Times best-selling co-author of Sex at Dawn, I don't know what that is, explores the ways in which progress has perverted the way we live, right? That word, I don't like that word. And it's like something is different and therefore it is bad, right? That is what perverts means. Of course, progress has changed the way we live, right? How we eat, learn, feel, mate, parent, communicate, work, and die. In this engaging, extensive, documented, well-organized, and thought-provoking book. I mean, it sounds kind of interesting, yeah. Sounds like an interesting read. Most of us have instinctive evidence Most of us have instinctive evidence the world is ending. Instinctive evidence? What? Isn't that an oxymoron? Isn't like instinct? The whole point of instinct that there is no evidence. It's just a gut feeling. Well, that was frustrating. So how can... Very confusing, alright. Balmy December days, face-to-face conversation replaced with heads-to-screens zomboidism. A world at constant war, political system in disarray. I'm not sure about these things. We hear some myths and lies so frequently that they feel like truths. Civilization is humankind's greatest accomplishment. It's not a myth, it's not a lie, it's an opinion. It's an opinion. Right? It's not a... The people who say that civilization is humankind's greatest accomplishment, that is their opinion. They're not lying about it. Progress is undeniable. That it has happened. Sure, progress has happened. It's undeniable that progress has happened, but like it's undeniable that it will keep happening. That would be a mistake, I would think. Count your blessings. I mean, isn't that... Sure, be grateful, right? I heard that, like I've been looking into self-help stuff, right? There's something that comes up over and over again is counting your blessings, like feeling grateful for the stuff that you are grateful for, right? Trying to cultivate a grateful mindset makes you feel better. And I don't think that is what is meant in this context. I don't understand what is meant. Note says, if you're able to disregard an entire article because the conclusion doesn't matter to you... Because the conclusion doesn't matter to you if you don't agree with the premise, why are you reading this when they say shit like instinctual evidence that the world is ending? I am probably gonna disregard a lot of this, right? Because this is just... Like, a lot of the stuff here that is being said is a way of looking at the world I don't fully understand, right? I'm not sure I understand what is going on here. Because that instinctive evidence that the world is ending, that is just... It sounds dumb. Like, a lot of these things sounds dumb, right? So I'm probably gonna disregard this whole thing in a bit. Maybe, maybe not. I think it could be. I'm probably not gonna read the book after finishing this, right? I will definitely not read the book, even if I was super into it, right? But I was against I took a stance away from it, like already when they put the quotation mark around progress and used the word perverted, right? Already there, I might be in a like complete disagreement with this Christopher Ryan. But I'm not sure yet what the premises are. If that makes sense. Also, it's a mood thing, right? It's a mood thing. And one day I might disregard an entire article because the conclusion doesn't matter to me, and the next day I might read that full article and be all into it, even if I reject it. Yeah. Those words are in italics for a reason. These, all of them? Yeah, because the text kind of puts them as... Right? We hear some, like... Isn't that why they are in italics? Because of this here? We hear some myths and lies so frequently that they feel like truths. And then there's a list where everything in italics, right? The reason they're in italics is because they call them to be lies and myths. And I'm saying this is not a lie or a myth. It's an opinion. I would say that progress is undeniable, right? That was my point, right? If you look at the past, it's undeniable that it happened. Right? I'm just saying that it's not necessarily a myth or a lie. It might even be considered true by some people that progress is undeniable. Count your blessing, that one is I didn't get. You're lucky to be alive here and now. That's also an opinion, right? It's a weird thing to say to someone, right? Isn't that up to each individual to decide if I feel lucky to be alive or not? Even though if we're talking about count your blessings, it would probably be beneficial to a person to cultivate that idea, right? That feeling that you feel lucky to be alive here and now because of the gratefulness, and that is good for your mental health, supposedly. All right. Well, maybe we are and maybe we aren't. There we go, right? Civilized to death counters the idea that progress is inherently good. That I can get behind. If that is the basic premise, right? Progress is inherently good. I'm all behind that premise. Arguing that progress, defining our age, is analogous to an advancing disease. That I don't agree with, right? I would say progress is not inherently good, it's not inherently evil, because it's, right, if you want to say that it's parts of it I find good, parts of it I find bad. It's all opinion, it's not facts. There are a lot of things that I think are better now because of progress, and some things that are worse now because of progress. So, I kind of feel like I reject not even the basic premise, but the false dichotomy that this thing paints. But this is just like an abstract, right? Blasphemous. According to discussions we've had, you think this is the best time to have ever lived as a human on this planet, Kappa? Yeah. I would probably say that, yeah. But that doesn't mean that progress is inherently good, or I find progress to be inherently good. I just think that this is probably the best time. Like, if we take all the people on the planet and just take a test like quality of life from, right, it's an opinion, right? Oh, it's a review? This isn't even an abstract, it's just a review of the book. Alright. Prehistoric life, of course, was not without serious dangers and disadvantages. Exactly. Many babies died in infancy. Well, a broken bone, infected wound, snake bite, or difficult pregnancy would be life-threatening. And the rape and the murder and the oppressions and all that shit, right? kind of just glossing over that, right? Right. All the tools we have access to today, right? That's empowering to individuals. We were, like, not we, but people back in the past were dependent on other people that, right? In power situations where some people decided what was best for you, right? They decided your whole life, kinda. Right, but ultimately, Christopher Ryan questions where are these pre-civilized dangers more murderous than modern scourges, such as car accidents, cancers, cardiovascular disease, and a technology-prolonged dying process. Actually, that I would be curious to the relevant percentage-wise statistics of these things, right? Like, I mean, car accidents. Like, if you, like, what was that example? Like a infected wound compared to car accidents, percentage-wise. Because I would argue that an infected wound might be a worse way to go than a quick car accident. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. Maybe a car... Like, it depends on the car accident. But you get my point. This here, though, I'm all for, right? That's a point I would agree to, that... Sure, prolong life, but not if it's a life filled with suffering. We've talked about euthanasia to death. Yeah, I had. Note owner says we're definitely making progress. You could even say that we're making progress towards an extinction event. Maybe, right? Making progress towards that. That's interesting. Yeah. And some people, right? Some people would consider that a good thing. Other people would consider it a bad thing. Blasphemous say they are extremely high. The leading causes of deaths. Here we go. All right. Yeah. But like, this is the leading causes at the moment, right? Wait, what just happened? Oh. Right. These are the leading causes of death at the moment. I was thinking of the comparisons, right? Like, comparatively, like, this is percentage of deaths, right? What did people die from in the past? And is this worse or better, right? That's kind of the assumption that I was not, right? What would I prefer to die of from these things, right? I would probably prefer a quick accident over... Actually, I would prefer a pill over most of these things, right? Or a stroke. Yeah, a stroke wouldn't be that bad. Like, if it was a quick stroke, you just... boom, and it's over in just minutes, seconds. A car accident, if it's instant, I wouldn't mind, right? And personally, I would prefer to live a longer, healthy life. Not a longer, unhealthy life, right? Cancer, fuck cancer, right? Cancer sounds like it's terrible. Like, I would probably... Well, hopefully when I get to that point, there is a pill and euthanasia is just fine. So I could just skip the worst bits in the end of cancer. Instead of prolonging the worst bits at the end. But that personal preference, right? Personal preference. Alright. Blasphemous is fucking cute browser? Indeed. Alzheimer's might be fun. From my understanding, I have not stats on this, but from my understanding, it's kind of a, what's that called? A dice roll. and more often time Alzheimer's is worse than better, because it's oftentimes they are not feeling very well. But other times it's like, I could imagine myself just being fine through Alzheimer's, because I can probably let go. I would hope or imagine myself being at that age, being able to let go of all the memories and whatnot, right? I don't have a lot of photographs or memories from childhood or stuff like that, and that doesn't bother me a lot. So therefore, Alzheimer's might not bother me. On the other hand, kind of depends, right? Because at the same time, because everybody around you, that's the fucky shit about Alzheimer's, right? The suffering for the people around you. And I tend to be a little bit peer pressured into that suffering from the people around me. So if I saw people coming in and just crying around me, I would probably be crying all the time, right? Because of that would be probably not. So it was an interesting idea, though. Alzheimer's is fucking weird. Blasphemous says cancer is very profitable. Oh yes. Oh, that is it. That it is, right? Oh, that's so gross. Oh, that made me feel all gross inside. That is predatory, right? Keeping people alive like that. And it's also understandable why the family why they would fall for that predatory consumerism, like keeping them alive just for the sake of. That is rough. That is some rough stuff indeed. Blasphemous says, Cider, what would you like Firefox to do? Wait. Fuck, I missed the context. Fucking cute browser, what I would want it to do? Like, I don't even know, right? De-bloat? Yeah, slim down. That is what I want Firefox to do. Slim down. I guess? Blasphemous says, Alzheimer's, fun for you, unfun for everyone else in your life. And it might not be, right? There's a... Like, from what I hear, a lot, like... That's horror stories. But I hear a lot of people not having a good time as well. De-bloat how? I don't know. I don't know what it does in the background. What I do know is that it uses CPU and RAM more than I want it to do. Use less of that. I don't know how, right? It's... Don't know how indeed. Alright. Civilized to Death will make you see our so-called progress in a whole new light. Right. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of this statement. And adds to the timely conversation that the way we have lived, that we have been living, is no longer sustainable. That I would agree to. There are stuff we do that comes together with progress. I would say not necessarily caused by progress, but there are stuff that we're doing that I would say are not really sustainable, which is, it's not really a difficult statement to make. Right. At least as long as we want to the Earth to outlive us. That always bothers me, that thing, that the Earth will be fine, right? The Earth will be fine. Yeah. It's our civilization that is in problem, and a lot of the other species, but I mean, I mean, I care about the suffering of other species, but the dying out of species, I only care about that because of what they mean to humanity, right? There is nothing that I cannot really relate to what it means to be an ant, and I wouldn't want to keep the ants alive for the ants' sake. I would say, please don't make the ants suffer, but as a species, them dying out, that doesn't bother me, except for how it affects our species. How it can fuck us over if we kill all the ants. But that's opinions as well, right? Ryan makes the claim that we should start looking backwards to find our way into a better future. Yeah, and that is like the complete opposite of what I want out of the future, right? That's the complete opposite. I don't want. It's not called fundamentalism. It is another word. The backwards striving. So maybe that would be an argument to read stuff like this, but this book, right? This thing here was just gross. Blasphemous about config is the key to do that. Oh, interesting. Alright, maybe that is in the future then. Playing around more with the about config, I've changed like a couple of things through that, and that wasn't me learning about it, it was just some dude on the internet said disable this, and I disabled that. In the about config. Maybe I should. Let's see, Blasphemous. Read the comments in the user.js file if you decide to proceed to read the wiki for tips. So read the wiki. Oh, there's a wiki on Arkenfox. Comments on user.js. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do this. Comments. The readme, do you mean this? Is this what you mean? Where am I? The user.js. Arkenfox. Consider using Tor browser if it meets your needs or fits your threat model. Required reading, overview, backing up, implementing. If you skipped step 2, return to step 2. Nice. Overview, backing up, implementing, maintenance entries. Oh, that's the wiki. You can disable a lot of the bloat. Nice. But something also is the keyboard focus, right? Now since I've been starting playing around with Qt browser and the Nuxt browser, I like this. This I like. And this kind of codability, having a config file. I guess about config is the equivalence of the config file. But that's actually quite interesting that I've never looked into the about config in Firefox earlier. Alright, make changes. There are often trade-offs and conflicts between security versus privacy versus anti-fingerprinting. Oh, yeah, we kind of got that sense, right? When you did all your fingerprinting testing, right? That there is... Right? Threat model. That's the problem with me, right? I'm willfully ignorant of all the threats. I'm just oblivious to all the threats. Yeah. I'm not really afraid. No, I'm not really afraid of the threats. I mean, I'm not I'm quite oblivious. I'm not completely oblivious, but I'm just... I'm not afraid of them, and therefore, since I'm not afraid, they don't motivate me. Character flaw? Personal flaw, maybe? I don't know. Blasphemous says, you don't need any threats, you can still debloat. I can indeed. Some site breakage and unintended consequences will happen. Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Everyone's experience will differ. For example, some user data is erased on close. Alright. That, right, you science it, right? You test something and see how it works. While not 100% definite, search for setup tags. Take the wiki and link. So what is... I'm actually curious what the thing is. Alright, some tag info. Setup security. It is one item. Read it. Setup web. Right, I don't even know what this is, right? And I can't go back. Damn it. Oh, it is here, right? Oh, that is the... Alright, a user.js is a configuration file that can control hundreds of Firefox settings. For a more technical breakdown and explanation, you can read the overview on the wiki page. So ArkenFox is the user config, but someone has just done that. They have made their own settings that you can implement, right? Instead of using Firefox's settings, they have, this is just a config file, pretty much. Kind of. Oh, and the wiki page is a great resource then to edit your own about config. I'm assuming that is the thing. Node owner says Christmas in July. Yeah, I was kind of thinking of skipping the song, but then I was just happy with a little bit of Christmas in July. I celebrated Christmas in New Zealand once. It was interesting. Middle of the summer, yeah. Middle of the summer, celebrating Christmas. Blasphemous says, yes, and reading the comments will tell you what the different options do. Oh, right. That is... This whole thing is the whole version. And they have nice comments on everything. Nice. So the wiki is like an overview, and then you can read the comments for like every setting. This is a nice little project indeed. For if I ever get around to it, that is. Right, add it as a bookmark. One of the bookmarks, right? One of the bookmarks. At the moment, I have other stuff that I'm working on, right? This, I think that this is probably where I'll end up. Where I'll end up later. Wow. Wouldn't surprise me at all after just going a month or two. Just doing a lot of other stuff and then, oh, screw it. Let's just go back to Firefox, and then I'll do this in a few months later, because I'll be burnt out on working on browsers. Yeah, I can imagine that happening. Blasphemous says, a good benefit of debloating is gaining privacy, Kappa. Nice. That's the overlap, right? I don't mind gaining all that privacy, it's just... It's kind of weird, because I have this feeling that I want the privacy to motivate me. I want to do privacy-focused things. But every time I just go in with pure privacy in mind, it's just... I get bored instantly and just don't care. Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. Life is fine. Alright. Prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view. Yeah. That's one way to do prayer. I would say there's probably plenty different types to do prayers as well, I guess. Plasma says, if a setting breaks something, just comment it out. Yeah. Yeah, just science the thing, right? That is why it's important to read and understand the entire thing. The entire thing? Wait, what? That I didn't understand. Why is it important to read and understand the entire thing? Can't you just use the wiki and then like try changing a setting and then when it breaks just change it back? I don't even think I can do on like without experimentation. I don't think I could read and understand the whole thing without experimentation. I'm not competent enough in coding and programming and that kind of stuff. I can't read and understand that entire text. I think I could read the full thing, like, and the wiki and the actual file, and maybe even some extra text around it. I still wouldn't understand it. Just by reading, I wouldn't. But I've read a lot of documentation that has been... People have said this documentation is great, and I've read it, and I've reread it, and I've read it again, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on here. And it's like... frustrating. Plasma says that most of the settings will not break things, but there are a few that might, depending on where you go. Just make a separate profile to mess around with when you do it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nodonor says the Nix documentation is great. That is a great example of stuff that I've been reading and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm reading. I don't understand. Well, I understand a lot of the individual words, but putting them together, like it's just like that. Just like that, and it's gone. Yeah, but I'm slow like that, and it's fine being slow like that. I mean, I suppose, in general, my computing needs are kind of fulfilled. Right? So a lot of the stuff that I do is... from, right, just improvements. Yeah, my needs are fulfilled. I don't have any fears or any, like, I need to do this. It's more like, I want to do this. And I think I'm happy in that situation. It's more of a hobbyist thing. Even with the frustrations, and there is a lot of frustrations in it. Ah. I guess that's something that I'm as good as practicing, right? Embracing the frustrations. Yeah. Again, I really like that video with the adventurer and the canoeing. Very inspirational. Blasphemous says, I have a profile I use with that, which is very locked down, and temporary profile script I use when I need to buy something. Yeah, right. You can probably, I assume, you can have two different files, and there is probably a launch option where you just choose the file, right? So you can just have a keybind for that type of Firefox and a keybind for the other type of Firefox. And that's probably super easy to set up. Nodonor says the NixOS wiki, however, could use some work. Yeah, that has not been very helpful. I was following the exact specifications of the wiki, the NixOS wiki for the graphic cards thing, and that is why it didn't work, because I followed the wiki. It gave me like 2 or 3 different versions of stuff to try out. Neither of them worked. Blasphemous says, yeah, my Rofi does that. Nice. That's nice. Alright, prayer. It is the soliloquy. How do you pronounce that? Soliloquy. Soliloquy? Soliloquy. Yeah. Alright, it is the soliloquy of beholding and jubilant soul. It is the Spirit of God pronouncing his works good. But prayer as a means to effect a private end is meanness and theft. Oh, look at that. We have the same, well, we have similar opinions, but we come from different places. It supposes dualism and not unity in nature and consciousness. Dualism can mean a lot of stuff, though. As soon as the man is at one with God, he will not beg. Soliloquy. Soliloquy. Thank you, Blasphemous. Soliloquy. It's a word I've heard plenty of times and read it a couple of times, but it's one of those again, right? I've heard it, I've read it, I've never said it before. Soliloquy. There are probably quite a few of those words. Yeah. Like, in general, my life has been a lot of listening and reading, not a lot of talking. That has changed the last... yeah, I've been doing a lot of talking. A lot of talking the last 6 months. A little bit over that, 7 months. A lot of talking, yeah. Speech you make to yourself. Oh, that was kind of... That was not my understanding. Oh, wait. Oh, I was thinking speech, like a speech, like you hold a speech to the people, but no. It's just speech you make to yourself, like you're talking to yourself. Like a prayer or poetic kind of way. Soliloquy. Alright, yeah, so I think my definition was fine. Blasphemous says, be your own best conversation partner. Oh, soliloquy as a conversation. That I didn't think. Oh, I didn't think of that. I thought of it more as a monologue, kinda. But I suppose it can be a conversation with yourself as well. Yeah, monologue was my understanding of soliloquy. Oh, right, it even says monologue right there. But I suppose a monologue could be considered a conversation with it when it is internal. Blasphemous is probably more of a monologue, but my way sounds more fun, Kappa. Yeah. But I'm for that, right? Sometimes you can be a very good, well, conversation partner. I think I've had difficulties doing that. Like, I can't play chess against myself, for example. I've tried, but I just can't do it. It's... But I have, like, that's not really, no. Conversations with myself, I'm not very good at it, indeed. More monologuing and exploring something. Oh. But that kind of makes sense, right? About how we're different as people, you and me, Blasphemous, right? You're probably better at doing internal conversations, right? That kind of makes... That would make sense to me, yeah. Blasphemous asks, Nodrunner, have you used Haishoku as a Pywall backend? Haishoku. I've never even heard of that. But I was actually very, very happy when I stopped using Pywall. Yeah. You will then see prayer in all action. The prayer of the farmer kneeling into his field to weed it. The prayer of the rower kneeling with the stroke of his oar. Are true prayers heard throughout nature, though for cheap ends. I like that. Karatak in Fletcher's Bonduka, no idea. When admonished to inquire the mind of the god, Audot replies, "His hidden meaning lies in our endeavors. Our valors are our best gods." Node Runner has not used Haishoku as a Pywall backend. Another sort of false prayer are our regrets. Discontent is the want of self-reliance. It is infirmity of will. Regret calamities. If you can thereby help the sufferer, if not, attend your own work. And already the evil begins to be repaired. Our sympathy is just as base. We come to them who weep foolishly and sit down and cry for company instead of imparting to them the truth and health in rough electric shocks, putting them once more in communication with their own reason. Here the text goes again, right? Completely invalidating emotional needs. Right, invalidating other emotional needs, like they are not a thing. That bothers me. Blasphemous is based god? Wait, wasn't it based as... just as based? I don't know. I don't even know what based means. I've heard it a lot of time. It's just... good, I guess. The secret of fortune is joy in our hands. Welcoming... oh wait, no. Welcome evermore to gods and men is the self-helping man. For him all doors are flung wide. Him all tongues greet, all honors crown, all eyes follow with desire. That's just not true. Our love goes out to him and embraces him because he did not need it. Such a dick move, right? The people who actually need embracement and love, those people, fuck those people, they don't get it. The one that do not need it, they get it. Yeah, that seems ethically good idea. That's all the people who have this need don't fulfill that. Instead fulfill that need to these other people over here that does not need it fulfilled. It's like, what? That's weird. In solitude and in apologies, we caress and celebrate him because he held on his way and scorned disapprobation. Disapprobation? That was an interesting word. The gods love him because men hated him? Wait. To the persevering mortals, said the Zoroaster, the blessed immortals are swift. Oh, right, this was all talking about a play or a book or something, right? That's why none of this made any sense to me, because he's talking about something that like, it's a reference to something that I have not read. Right. Blasphemous says, what are you reading when this is done? I have no idea. Do you have an example? Right. If nothing has come up by then, I'm thinking that I'll just spend some time on stream just looking around, just random perusing of the internet and see if I can find something interesting to read. Right? Right. Maybe if you're around, you can help out, right? If like, since I fall so easily for peer pressure, right? If I'm just perusing around and I get like decision anxiety, right? Analysis paralysis and don't know what to pick, you can just say, right, that looked interesting, and then I'll definitely pick that because of the peer pressure thing, right? Yeah. Utilize you as help. Glassman says, I'm afraid to give him anything, Kappa. Wait. Afraid? Why? Preferably something shorter than this, though. This has been a little bit too long. I'm getting a little bit bored of it, but I've also gotten so far that I don't want to give up until I'm finished. Nice. As men's prayers are a disease of the will, so are their creeds a disease of the intellect. They say with those foolish Israelites, let not God speak to us, lest we die. Speak thou, speak any man with us, and we will obey. Everywhere I am hindered of meeting God in my brother, because he has shut his own temple doors and recites fables merely of his brothers, or his brother's brother's God. Confusing. Lasma says, you tend to nitpick? Yeah, I tend to nitpick, but I kind of feel like in the end, don't I end up with a clear picture in the end. Like, I feel like I've been nitpicking on this whole thing, but I think I have a fairly clear picture of I have a fairly clear, like, big picture interpretation of this whole text, for example. Lastman says, I should give you something I completely disagree with. Maybe you should give me something that you have not read, right? So it's fresh eyes for you as well. I mean, preferably, we find something that you and I disagree about, right? So we can, like... So it triggers a discussion, right? Like, I nitpick something, you completely disagree with that, and then we can discuss that nitpick. And we can get I can get a broader, more holistic view from my point of view, right? Of that thing I was nitpicking about. Frustrating for you, fun for me. And that's what matters, right? Fun for me? Yeah. Every new mind is a new classification. Kinda, yeah. If it prove a mind of uncommon activity and power, a Locke, a Leviosa, a Hutton, a Bentham, a Fourier, it imposes its classification on other men, and lo, a new system. I didn't get this last part. What do you mean, a new system? Like, I would say that the mind, like the individual mind that takes all of these and internalize them, is still a unique classification, right? Just because you have read some other person's words and thought they were a good idea. Right? Just like there are similarities between what was that word? There is a word, right? He used that word earlier. It was a completely new word for me. That was the definition of what this text, my interpretation, was what it was about. Let's just say self-reliant, right? There are great similarities between the people who are very focused on being self-reliant, right? As well as there are similarities between all the people who has internalized Locke or Bentham, right? Or Hume, for that matter, right? There are similarities, like, we're all unique classifications, sure, but there are similarities between person A and person B. and differences between person B and person C. In proportion to the depth of the thought, and so the numbers of the objects it touches and brings within reach of the pupil, is his complacency. But chiefly is this apparent in creeds and churches, which are also classifications of some powerful mind acting on the elemental thought of duty, and a man's relation to the highest. Such is Calvinism, Quakerism, Swedenborgism. Swedenborgism? Is that a thing? That sounds interesting. The pupil takes the same delight in subordinating everything to the new terminology, as a girl who has just learned botany in seeing a new earth and new seasons thereby. It will happen for a time that the pupil will find his intellectual power has grown by the study of his master's mind. But in all unbalanced minds, the classification is idolized, passes for the end, and not a speedily exhaustible means, so that the walls of the system blend to their eye and the remote horizon with the walls of the universe. Actually, this is very interesting. This kind of feels like criticisms that I have raised against this text, right? About this being an unbalanced, like an unbalanced attitude. But that must have been like a complete misunderstanding then. Like throughout this whole text, I've just misunderstood that thing. Because it has, well, text, my interpretation, it's been very straightforward. It's been very black and white. Fuck everything everyone else says, right? That has been a recurring theme is in what I've read. So I don't think that's like, yeah. I think it's an easy mistake for me to make in this text. But I'm happy to see this. Yeah. It is great to study the master's mind, but it's just trying to become the master, right? That's, I would agree with, right? To thine self be true and whatnot, right? The luminaries of heaven seem to... The luminaries of heaven seem to them hung on the arch their master built. Yeah, that's that word again. Fuck. I need to know the word I'm looking for. It's not fundamentalism. How do I look for similar words? Similar words. It's not another word. It's not a synonym, not really. Maybe it'll end up. Orthodoxy? Conventionalism? That would be. Conservatism. There we go. Conservatism. Oh, fuck, and I opened a new... No, we're fine. Yeah. Conservatism. There we go. That's the word I've been looking for plenty of times. Yeah, some things are worth conserving, but usually I tend to be on the other side of things. I don't mind conserving a lot of stuff, but... No, it's not even conservatism, right? It's... No, maybe fundamentalism is... Traditionalism. No, traditionalism is probably the thing. Yeah, conserving stuff, that is, I'm all for that, just in the word. There's a lot of stuff worth conserving. Indeed. Maybe traditionalism? It doesn't ring a bell. But maybe that is it. Just traditions for the sake of traditions. Yeah, traditions for the sake of traditions. That is probably the best word. And no wonder I didn't find the word, because this is not... This is the word I was looking for, but it didn't explain my thinking. Traditionalism, I think, does, though. Traditionalism. That I don't like. Let's see, Blasphemous gives a link here. Expressiveegg.org. An excerpt from Self and Unself. What is that? Self and Unself? Limits of literalism. Ooh, that sounds like something that could be good for me to read. Literalism? That sounds like a mistake that I would probably make. I don't even know what the literalism is, but it sounds like something I would do. Blasphemous conservatism? Yeah, I mean, conservatism is fine. I think there are values in conservatism. Right, so it's not really that I was looking for before. So this is your recommendation for something to read after? So maybe add as bookmark, right? We're not reading that now. I need to go soon, yeah. Want to find... Right here, yeah. I just want to finish this. They cannot imagine how you aliens have any right to see, how you can see. It must be somehow that you stole the light from us. Yet do not perceive that light, unsystematic, indomitable, will break into any cabin, even into theirs. Let them chirp a while and call it their own. Nice, I like that chirp. That's so rude. That's actually so fun that that app that became so popular is called Twitter. It's like an insult to all its users that it's called Twitter, right? From a certain point of view. The tweeting, the chirping. If they are honest and do well, I would say if they call it their own, I think it's very unfair to say that it isn't their own, right? Who are you to decide? Who am I to decide that if someone says this is my own, who am I to say no, it's not? In your mind, what authority do I have over someone else's mind? If they make this claim, and like it's right, you can spot a liar, right? If they are somehow lying or being inconsequential, right? And you can question them, right? But just making that pure statement feels unfair towards them. But what I do in my mind, if I think someone has not if I think someone is just a follower, that's up to me, right? And that's fine, I guess. If they are honest and do well, presently their neat and new pinfold will be too straight and low, will crack and lean, will rot and vanish, and the immortal light, all young and joyful, million-orbed, million-colored, will beam over the universe as on the first morning. Alright, I feel a little bit stressed out, so I'm not sure about this whole thing. I mean, it was this again, right? It feels like a repetition of what we've heard before, right? That the text kind of seems to imply that people who... Actually, it does that less. It has done that less than in my previous interpretations. It was all like, just because you have read someone else's words, my earlier interpretation was that, therefore, those words suck. But here it kind of feels like it's more okay to read others' words, but they are just a starting off point, right? You have to actually think about those words yourself, which I think is fine, right? If you are of that mind, right? If you are a person who enjoys doing that, that is great. And I think that probably leads to more, in my opinion anyway, more interesting stuff to talk about. Yeah. I would enjoy this conversation more than someone who has made their own, like, spent time and effort to make their own interpretation. I would find that conversation more interesting, but that's just one way of being alive. Let's see. Blasphemous says, I was just looking on that side, the Anarchist Library. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was considering. I haven't read anything from there yet, so that would be something, right? Right. Chili's Glendinning notes towards a neo-Luddite manifesto. Oh man, there's two things now? Oh man, do I have to make a choice between these two things? That's frustrating. Alright. Alright, that's enough. One of those two I'll read next, okay. Not tomorrow though, because this is probably gonna be 2 more days. At least, at this speed. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Alright, but it is lunchtime, indeed. Indeed, it is lunchtime. Thanks for hanging out. And have a good one. Sleep well when you do. And see you next time. Cheers.